Because of why I search the deep through endless nights, no time to sleep. The call inside I can't deny. I'll find the light because of why.
Hey, welcome to The Explainer. You know, there's this question that comes up all the time. How did Sweden, this pretty small country way up in Northern Europe, become such an economic powerhouse? Well, the answer is probably not what you're thinking.
And yeah, if you've ever heard people talk about Sweden, especially in the US, there's one word that just always seems to pop up: socialism. It gets thrown around constantly.
But is that even the right word? And does it really explain why Sweden is so successful? The real story you'll see is way more surprising. So let's get into it.
All right, so first things first, let's tackle this whole socialist idea head on. Because honestly, when you really peek under the hood of the Swedish economy, you find something kind of different.
So on one hand, you have this popular idea of Sweden as this, socialist government-run place. But the reality, it's just not that. We're actually talking about a super competitive, market-driven economy that's all about exports. And this is the key thing to get. Having a big welfare state doesn't automatically equal a socialist economy. They're two very different things.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Volvo, IKEA, H&M, Ericsson. These are some of the biggest, most successful capitalist companies on the planet, right? These weren't cooked up by the government. These are global powerhouses, born and bred in Sweden, that go out and crush it on the world stage.
Okay, so if it's not some kind of socialist magic, then what's the deal? What really built Sweden's wealth? Well, to figure that out, we have to travel back in time, way before the modern welfare state even existed. The story starts a lot earlier than you'd think.
You see, Sweden was playing the long game. I'm talking way back in 1842, they made primary school mandatory for everyone. That was a massive bet on their own people, and it paid off, because it created this incredibly skilled workforce, just in time for the 1870s, when they tapped into their natural resources, all that timber and iron ore, to kickstart their industrial revolution. And that boom, it created a whole new generation of entrepreneurs who built the export-driven economy they still have today.
So right from the get-go, their whole economic engine was built to sell things to other countries. And this isn't just some old history lesson. To this day, Sweden's economy is all about exporting high-tech stuff like machinery, cars, and chemicals all over the globe.
Okay, so that brings us to the famous Swedish model. Now, when people hear that, they usually just think high taxes, right? But the real heart of the model, the thing that makes it tick, isn't really about taxes. It's about this really unique deal between workers and their bosses. And get this is a fact that blows a lot of people's minds. Sweden has no legal minimum wage. None? Zilch. The government does not set a wage floor. So, if the government isn't doing it, who is?
Well, the answer is pretty wild. Back in the early 1900s, things were a mess. Constant strikes, lockouts, it was basically all-out war between workers and bosses. So, what happened? Both sides got super organized. They formed these massive, powerful national groups. And finally, in 1938, they sat down and said, look, this constant fighting is killing us all. And they hammered out this historic peace deal. And today, the government pretty much stays out of it. Almost 90% of all workers have their wages decided through direct negotiations between these big, powerful unions and employer groups.
But even that, a strong market, and this unique labor piece, that's still not the full picture. There's another secret ingredient, something you can't really see, but it's like the cultural software that makes the whole machine run.
Yeah, researchers have this cool term for it: a small world. Basically, because Sweden is a relatively small, tight-knit country, there's this incredibly high level of social trust. It's just baked into the culture. People trust each other. They trust the government. They trust that if you make a deal, you'll stick to it. And that trust, it's like a lubricant for the whole economy. It makes doing business way faster and way cheaper.
And hey, this isn't just some fuzzy feel-good idea. You can literally see it in the numbers. When you look at global rankings, Sweden is always right there at the top for things like rule of law and having super low corruption. And it makes sense, right? When you trust the system, everything from starting a company to just getting paid on time becomes so much easier.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got a powerhouse capitalist engine, and it's all running on this high-trust software. But what about the thing everybody thinks they know about Sweden? You know, the massive welfare state. Where does that piece of the puzzle fit in?
And this, right here, is maybe the single most important point. That giant welfare state, that's a new thing. For almost 100 years, the whole time Sweden was going from poor to rich, its government was actually tiny. Government spending was super low. The country got wealthy first. It was only after they were already rich that the spending really took off.
And of course, to pay for all that new stuff, they had to completely rework their taxes. So what do? They basically shifted the whole burden. Instead of taxing things people buy, they started taxing people's paychecks and incomes really heavily to fund the whole new system. So what is Sweden's evolving formula? Let's reveal the secret sauce.
So, when you put it all together, here's the secret recipe. You start with a fiercely competitive, market-based capitalist economy. Then you add a long history of investing in your people through education. On top of that, you have that unique social contract of labor management cooperation. And the invisible foundation holding it all up? That incredibly high social trust. The big, high-tax welfare state, that was the very last piece of the puzzle, built on a foundation of wealth that was already there. It was a result of their prosperity, not the cause of it.
So it's this really complex, constantly changing formula that has worked wonders for Sweden. But, the world keeps changing. They're facing new challenges now. So it really makes you wonder, can this unique balance they've struck actually last?
So I gotta ask, what do you think? Out of all those different ingredients, the capitalism, the high-trust culture, that early bet on education, which one do you think mattered the most? Definitely let us know down in the comments. And hey, if you like this breakdown, do us a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more explainers just like this.
Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.